Welcome to D. McClung's Archer Monologues. Now, I don't have anything in mind to talk about this time, and that's kind of awkward. That means I'm going to have to think and come up with something. Like, what should I talk about? What could I possibly talk about? What could I possibly offer people that's, new and perhaps interesting? What could I possibly have to say on this monologue? Now, there's lots of things to talk about, lots of things I'd like to say and get out of my brain, and get it into the airwaves and so on. But what? What would it be? Should I talk about politics? Like there's the president, Biden, and people that talking nasty. I mean, nasty shit about that guy, and it's just, what can I say about that? I mean, that's just somehow it's just wrong, really. I mean, the things they're saying are obviously not true, and a lot of it is just like personal shit, like talking about him being having dementia or some damn thing, and it's just, I think that's just wrong. Um, I mean, is he the president? Yes. Did he win the election? Yes. Is that disputable? No. Well, see, there you go. I could talk about Donald Trump and that he's a fucking lunatic. And you people that support this lunatic are fucking lunatics. It boggles my mind that you could be like that and think that way. It's just beyond my comprehension. I mean, what kind of brain damage did you suffer that you think, oh yeah, Trump, he's the guy, he's still my president, he won the election, blah blah blah. I mean, I think you'd be embarrassed to for people to hear you saying that stuff. It's unbelievable. It's like, this is the wackiest thing I can think of to say, so here it goes. And I'm perfectly sane and rational and intelligent, and probably, I got a minimum of education at least. And, I'm going to say something utterly fucking stupid. Oh, yeah, the election was rigged. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I don't think it was. And, and I haven't seen any evidence that it was. And furthermore, not any more than any other election over the past 70 years. Remember George Carlin, saying they don't care about you and things like, if your vote counted, they wouldn't let you vote and stuff like that. George Carlin had it on the ball. At any rate, the thing is, and there's something to talk about right there. George Carlin got up on the stage and he said stuff, and it was like, kind of true, kind of realistic, and kind of practical, and kind of sane, in some sense. And people would sit there and they'd laugh and cheer and yay, yay, applaud, 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 yay, ha, 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 laugh, laugh, laugh. And then after they sat there and listened to him talk on his show when he was presenting a show somewhere, they would just, I can't imagine. I mean, there's a lot of people there listening, and a lot of people have sense-wise said, quoted him and supported, say, hey, he's the guy. And he knew what he was talking about. And yes, I agree with him, blah, blah, blah. And then, they walk out of the studio, or they just, change the channel if they're watching it on YouTube or TV or whatever, and then just go right on about their business being idiots. I mean, yeah, George, we agree with you, but we're not gonna agree with you. I mean, we agree with you, but then we're gonna say something the total opposite of what you said that we agreed to. I mean, like during your show. It's absurd. It's bizarre. Seriously. I mean, hypocrisy? Is that it? Yeah, I'm going to laugh at George when he tells us the government's crap. And then we're going to go out and say, yeah, America, love it or leave it. It's our country. Donald Trump's my president. And there's the other thing. There's this, I love my country, and if you don't love your country, if you don't love America, leave your kind, go away, go somewhere else, you bastard. And and then they turn around and say, the government's trying to screw us. It's just like the two different things coming out of their mouths in almost the same sentence. Like, we love America. We love our country. We love our government. It's our government, America. And then turn around and say, we want the government out of our business. We don't want the government to, leave us alone. We don't want the government making these laws and taking away our rights and shit. We got to take back our country. And this is the thing. You take back your country when, it hasn't been taken away from you, by the way. Take back our country. Our rights are being taken away by the government that we hate and despise, and it's disgusting. And yet, 4th of July, which just passed there a couple of days ago, America, yay, United States, America, USA, USA. By the way, USA, that's the name of the government, and America's the name of the country. Now, this is a novel idea. I suppose people can't really wrap their brains around this. America is a land mass. A country is a land mass wherein the people that live in that land mass have a common, shall we say, familiarity with that society. Did that make sense to you? Made perfect sense to me. The point is, you see what I'm saying? The country is a society, a collection of people that live on a landmass. And like I said, it's a novel idea for people who can't imagine it, who've never really given it an honest thought. Consider this. You got a map, you draw a line around the edges of this landmass, and you call this a country. America. Okay? And then this country has formed a government a couple hundred years ago, and now the country has a government, and the country has a representation in the map, for the map area. Are you listening? There's my kitty cat. So what I'm saying is the concept of a country, and I'm reminded of another human relationship situation called marriage, which is also an abstract concept, but with pretty much the same characteristics if you come down to think about it. But you got a country, you got a landmass, you put borders around it, and it's called a country, and then you give that area of the planet a government that's kind of takes care of business, that whatever the government's supposed to be doing, or does, whether you like it or not. And the point is, it's an abstract concept. Now you have a bunch of people living in a landmass, and you've got different kinds of people living on that landmass. You've got Native Americans living in America. And you've got aliens. When I say no, not aliens, not people from Mars. You've got people that live born in other countries, other land masses with borders, and they might have a different culture, they might have a different language, they might have different customs, different social mores, different religions, and they come here for some reason, say to escape oppression from another country. They come here to have a better life because they think that they can do that here. There are people who come here because their parents brought them here. And, let's take the family and go to America. See how we can do over there. And the point being is that they're here and they add to this culture, good or bad, right or wrong. And then the Mexicans, for example, and the South Americans come from their landmass up here for one reason or another to escape the problems that exist in their country instead of trying to fix them themselves. Because people have no, shall I say, they have no strong motivation to fix the problems where they live, their homeland. And so they go somewhere else where they think it's going to be easier, which is true sometimes and not always true. So the thing is, so at any rate, what I'm trying to say here is the people that live in this country, the residents of this landmass, call themselves Americans, and they're very proud people, and they think there's a variety of thoughts and a variety of thought processes and a variety of conclusions that they come to as a result of things they've heard, like on Facebook or Gab or some other social network or Tucker Carlson or some of those other idiots. They believe stuff that's just simply not true. But at any rate, I wanted to talk about 4th of July for a minute. I didn't celebrate the 4th of July. I didn't celebrate it in any way, except that it's another day. It's a wonderful day that I was alive. I was productive. I did important things to me in my life, and I enjoyed it. But it wasn't a holiday. I just don't have holidays anymore. But particularly the 4th of July, for a simple reason. I suppose I could have celebrated it as it was intended to be celebrated, as the anniversary of the independence of America. But it's supposed to represent something more. It's supposed to represent something like freedom and human rights and a government that is responsive and responsible to the goodness of a country. In other words, the government should take care of the people as best it can under its limited abilities, under its limited powers. Government shouldn't be taxing people with the income tax that simply don't owe it. And they don't, because there's no law making Americans liable for the income tax unless they're a corporation, because corporations are taxable, because taxes apply to income tax, applies to privileged activities. Corporations are privileged entities, so therefore they are taxable, because you can't directly tax a human right. So what I'm getting at is I'm not celebrating the freedom that is supposedly be the ideal of America when there are so many people that are simply not free. When our rights are being violated, not just by the government, but by various aspects of the country and society. For example, people are being deprived of their rights. Now, I'm not talking about black folk here yet. I'm talking about other people that apparently nobody gives a crap about these people, and certainly doesn't give a crap about the fact that the government is oppressing these people and violating their human rights. But yet, America, yeah, love USA, USA. And then, we want our freedom. Stop taking away our freedom. And at the same time, your freedom doesn't matter. Yeah, that's like, is that hypocrisy? Is it hypocrisy? It's wrong. It is absolutely wrong. If you're going to talk about freedom and human rights, you can't support those people and those organizations in the government, for example, that violate those rights, that pass laws that violate the Constitution, which is the guide and the law the government must obey or be found guilty of treason, etc. So let's consider some of these so-called freedoms that we don't have. And, I will say this. I will celebrate the 4th of July as, one, the Independence Day, which represents the future country that is now America, and freedom and equality. And I don't use the word equality loosely. I mean equal under the law, in this case, meaning that the government cannot discriminate against people because of their age, for one thing. And yet the government does discriminate against people based on their age. Really? So let's consider the people like Americans who are adults, legally adults in America, meaning they have the same rights and privileges as every other adult equally throughout this country. And yet, I don't hear people raising hell over that freedom being deprived to people who are under 21 in regards to drinking alcohol. A legal thing, the law against drinking alcohol. If you want to drink a whiskey, a beer, whatever, it's free country. Drink it. Oh, well, you can't, because 18, 19, and 20-year-olds who are freaking illegal, who are legal adults, and by the way, natural adults, because nature said they're adults. It has nothing to do with what the government says. It has nothing to do with what you say. It has nothing to do with what your religion says. It has nothing to do with whatever your social concepts of things are. You're an adult because you are. That's the nature of human development. You're not a baby. You're an adult. And by the way, adolescents are young adults. So it's been that way for like ever until, let's say, the last 100 years or last 70 years. And, people went insane and decided that we're going to make adolescents into subhuman beings without rights. And we're going to oppress them. And we're going to deny them their rights because they're children. Which, of course, is not true, because the word child doesn't mean that. Never has, never will. I don't care how many laws you pass, like Title 18, U.S. Code, which says child in it, which is, of course, the first time I've ever seen the word child in a law. It's just wrong. And am I rambling? Maybe I should have put a disclaimer up at the front of the program saying I'm going to tittle-tattle around here a little bit. And, just follow me. Keep up. Everything's important in its own way. Anyhow, so I'm saying these people have the right to drink alcohol. 21-year-old, you have the right to drink alcohol. What about 20? Nope. But you're a legal adult and you have the same rights and privileges of every other adult, including 21 and 30-year-olds. But nobody complains about that. I don't get that. I would think people would be up in arms over that, saying, hey, I'm 18, I'm a legal adult. And by the way, you can join the army and, get a gun and go across the world, somewhere in another foreign country, commit a crime, war crimes, crimes against humanity, murder people, innocent people, Oh, they talk about right to life. Yeah, well, I'm going to go over and drop a bomb on some pregnant woman. Oh, abortion. Yeah, well, I think when you drop a bomb on a woman in her house or car and kill her and her fetus, you have committed an abortion. So don't tell me you're pro-life. You're an idiot if you think that's true. I mean, it's just beyond my comprehension. But at any rate, the thing is, we have these, hold on a second. The thing is, nobody's complaining. I don't see people marching in the streets and protesting and going to Washington and, lobbying Congress or whatever, in the oppression of the 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. They have a right to drink. Well, they do. It's a right. Natural right. It's a natural born right. You were born with a right to drink alcohol. Duh. Now, if you're going to drink and get drunk and do stupid shit, that's not the same thing as a right. That's just being stupid. I'm going to drive my car and run into a car head on and kill some people with my car because I'm drunk and I'm an idiot. That doesn't change the fact you have a right to drink. Because, 40-year-old people drive their cars drunk and run into things and hurt people and stuff. Age has nothing to do with that. That's not the point. And there are millions of people that actually do have a drink, a little, or maybe more than a little, and they drive their cars and they don't hurt anyone. So that's another story. At any rate, you have the right to drink alcohol. You're born with that right. And I'm thinking, okay, well, let's not get involved with telling, 14-year-olds they can drink alcohol at this point. That's not the point of what I'm saying. It's part of it, I suppose, because, yeah, you have the right to drink alcohol, da-da. I would think if you're a 10-year-old and you're getting into the whiskey, your dad's whiskey cabinet, then maybe your parents ought to be like paying more attention to you. Teach you some responsibility and teach you, baby, that you shouldn't be like drinking a bottle of whiskey. You're 10. Not a responsible thing to do and not a responsible thing for your parents to let you do. And, and maybe if you did that on the sly, then maybe your parents should be paying more attention to their jobs and taking care of you and teaching you to be responsible. Or to put it another way, be a responsible drinker. You can have a glass of wine, a little one, at dinner for the rest of the family. But at any rate, this idea that 18, 19, and 20-year-olds cannot legally have a drink, and yet they can go around the world committing war crimes. Oh, well, gee whiz. And, call me crazy, but I think that's insane. Really, that's just wrong. So talk about your freedom. Yeah, well, maybe you ought to fix that problem. Oh, it's not important. Yeah, it's pretty important. It's one of your freedoms that you don't have if you're 18 and 19 and 20 years old in America. Oh, by the way, in other parts of the world, that's not true because some countries are more mature and more intelligent and more civilized than America. Believe it or not, there are other countries that are more civilized than America. I think it's pretty obvious that we're not very civilized. 70 million people or so voted for Donald Trump. Hey, that's not civilized. That's insane. At any rate, that's one of the freedoms that we should make think about. Yeah, we should liberate our adolescents. They are the most oppressed people in this country. Yeah, forget about black people and that stuff. Adolescents and children as well. Oh, children under 12, prepubescent people, and those over 12, teenagers, adolescents, young adults. It's always been so. Teenagers have always been adults. Society thought so. The law thought so. Everybody thought so. Teenagers got married. It was just a normal procedure. It's just a normal societal, social situation. My first wife was 16. Met her when she was 15. I was an adult. Oh, now I get all kind of crap from that. Yeah, pedophile. Well, no, because, adolescents are not children. So, pedophile has to do with children. And she wasn't a child. She was an adolescent. Or as they say, a young adult. And she has every right to make decisions at that age. And don't tell me they can't think and they don't have any rights. That's just stupid. Don't even go there. All right. So why is that, for example? Why is the government telling me and everybody else in this country, oh, by the way, you're a free country, live in a free country, you have rights, human rights, natural human rights, which is to, have friends and be whoever you want to be, do whatever you want to do, including have a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the age. It's a free country, damn it. Oh, no, you can't do it because, you got to be like 18 or 21 or something. Yeah, well, they changed the rules, and the rules didn't change nature. Oh, age of consent, by the way. That's what nature says. You don't have a say over that. The government has no say over that. Nature decides when you are old enough to give consent. And that's when you're able to reproduce. Because before that, when you can't reproduce, yet you're not grown up enough and you're developed sexually enough to have children or reproduce children, make children, then, the right to decide is irrelevant. But once you have the ability to reproduce, you have the natural right to suggest to yourself, do I wanna? And if you have the right to decide if you want to reproduce, you have the right to decide if you want to engage in the physical sexual activity that may result in reproducing. It's nature and it's natural law, and government has nothing to say about that. And neither do you or anyone else. Because nature is the law. And natural rights exist because you exist. You have the right because you're born with that right. So, let's stop oppressing children and adolescents. Let's tell them it's a free country. Be free, but be responsible. That's our job as adults and parents. Teach the children to be responsible in their freedom. Because if you screw up exercising a right and hurt someone, then you're going to have to deal with the consequences. That's a civilized, intelligent, sane society. You don't oppress these people. They're human beings. They have every right. And the government cannot discriminate against somebody who is under 18 because, for the same reason they can't discriminate against someone under 21 who wants a beer. Because the equal under the law principle applies. The government has to treat everyone the same, which means you can't deprive anyone of their human rights. And certainly you cannot deprive a certain group of people of their rights because of their age. Not in a free country or a free world, if we were being idealistic. Let's start small. Let's start in America. Let's start here in your hometown, in your own state, in your own county, in your own city, whatever. Why aren't you fighting for freedom for adults who are 18, 19, 20? Why aren't you fighting for the freedom, the rights of human beings to be adolescents and live their freedom just like you do? Because you have that right, they have that right. There's no depriving, there's no debate there, by the way. This is the way it's supposed to be. Otherwise, you're not free. Because as long as adolescents aren't free, nobody's free. As long as you can oppress one group of people based on their age or any other reason, you're oppressing other people. You're oppressing yourself because you're showing yourself to be a hypocrite, and you don't really mean it when you say freedom. You don't really mean it when you talk about human rights. You're just being an asshole. So stand up for freedom. Oh, and just look at all of the laws that are like totally invalid because the Constitution doesn't have the authority to violate your rights, human rights, natural rights. But yet we let them do it. You want to take back your country? You haven't lost it. There just isn't any country. There's a government controlling the landmass. There's a bunch of people in this country controlling society. And they're idiots. And they're very bad people. And I'm not just talking about the politicians and the social organizations and social groups. I'm talking about individuals. If you violate an adolescent's rights, then you're a bad person. If you're a cop and you violate someone's rights by giving some 20-year-old guy a ticket for having a beer or arrest him or whatever, then, you're a bad person. You're not supporting freedom. You're not defending freedom. You're not exercising freedom. You're being a bully and a tyrant and a traitor to your country. And, you need to stop doing that. Every cop in this country should go to the police chief or the sheriff or whoever's in charge of the police department and say, hey, we're not going to do this anymore. It's wrong. They have a right. It's called freedom, and we're not going to put them in jail. We're not going to give them a ticket for that. They have every right to drink a beer or have a, Tom Collins or whatever. I mean, we're not going to give them a ticket. We're not going to arrest them. It's not going to happen. We're not doing it anymore. It's wrong. And we're not going to be a party to your tyranny and your bullying. We're cops, and we're proud, and we're going to take care of people, and one of the things we're going to do is protect their rights. We're not going to violate their rights. We're going to protect their rights and support them in exercising their rights. We're not going to get involved in this tyranny. Defend freedom. Cops, are you listening? Soldier, don't go to foreign countries and commit war crimes. Stay in America where you belong. Do your job here. And if you're all concerned about the border, yeah, how about National Guard? Go down to the border. Stand guard. Stop people from coming into the country illegally. I mean, you can fix this problem. It's not that difficult. It's not brain surgery. You got 1 million soldiers in the U.S. military. Put them on the border. Arm in arm. Arm's length apart. Nobody's coming into Texas from Mexico, if you've got like 5,000 soldiers standing on the border. Why don't they do that? Why hasn't that been done? What the fuck? That's your job. Protect the country from outside country peoples. I mean, come on. What's wrong with your brain? Don't give me excuses. Just fucking do it. If you don't do it, then you have nothing to complain about because you're being a part of the problem. So, here's the thing. Dress codes, by the way. Freedom to wear what you want. or not wear what you want, or not wear whatever you don't want, or be nude, because that's a freedom, that's a right. There's laws against being naked. No, there isn't. They're not valid, and everybody that understands the concept of freedom knows that you can't have a law making it a crime to be a human, natural person and be natural. It's time to end that nonsense. It's like the no nipples policy for Facebook. I mean, that should just be every freaking person that uses Facebook should just, bam, post a picture of a nipple. Like 1 billion people. Post your picture of your nipple on there. Everybody, all the same time on the day, like next Thursday. Everybody in America that's got Facebook, bam, post a picture of your nipple on there. Male, female, whatever. Young, old, age is irrelevant. Yeah, that'll show him. What is he going to do? Shut down Facebook? The fucking Zucker fucker? Yeah. I mean, that man's tyrant, bully, and he certainly doesn't believe in freedom. Censorship. Wait a minute. That's not freedom, is it? Freedom means no censorship. And I don't care. Oh, it's private property. No, he's a corporation. He doesn't have rights. I mean, as a person, yes, but as a corporation, no. So, Facebook is a corporation. It is a fictitious entity. It doesn't have rights. Zuckerberg, bugger fucker, doesn't have the right to censor people on Facebook. And by the way, the Supreme Court ruled, the Facebook is a public domain, meaning human rights must be respected or else. All right. So you understand what I'm saying here? Are you going to misunderstand what I'm saying? Have I said anything that is not clear? I know you've got other arguments to present to me to refute what I've said, but it's not going to work because, one, it's a monologue and you're not going to do that. Secondly, is because if you don't agree with what I said, because I told you the facts, the truth, the logic of it all is just not arguable. Oh, I'm going to argue with you anyway because I'm an idiot. Yeah, well, you're a fool and I don't want to talk to you. That's why I do monologues, so you idiots can't, interrupt me when I'm talking. You want to fight for freedom? Let's do away with dress codes in schools, for example. Because I don't want to hear that stuff, the interfering with their education bullshit. In the same time, you say, well, we can't have kids going to school, disrupting their education, and then turn around and say they're being indoctrinated at that education. Hey, we can't have them disrupting the class, by looking at that girl's shoulder because she's got not wearing a shoulder thing over her shoulder, or look at her kneecaps or whatever. Let's wear a dress down to her. Let's just get a burqa and put that burqa on them. Idiot. Oh yeah, well, we can't have that. In the first place, you don't want them to be free, and then you tell them. You don't want you homeschool your children because they're going to school and they're being indoctrinated with bullshit and Marxism and socialism and shit. And yet at the same time, you got to do what you're told by the school and by the government and wear what they tell you. See the contradiction here? It's hypocrisy and it's bullshit. You can't have it both ways. Either you have freedom or you don't believe in freedom. If you believe in freedom, dress code's got to go. And you should be standing up for these people. They are your children, our children, in a free country. And you should be defending their freedoms and their rights from these bullies and tyrants that are saying, you can't wear what you want. Seriously, it's time to end the nonsense and the insanity. Stand up for freedom. Stand up for freedom. And stop with the freaking Donald Trump won the election crap. That's just stupid. Idiotic. And if that's the kind of mentality you have, if you're one of those people, you're just beyond hope. You just, go back, crawl under a rock, because you're just useless. We're clear on that? All right, I'm going to wrap up this episode, and we'll talk some more about these things next time. All right, Demon Clung, Archer Monologues. Share this podcast with your friends and buddies. All right, do it. All right, talk to you next time. Bye.